just set off to the first supercharger. I'm heading to Dallas. We'll get into why that's a little bit of an issue later. But I'm leaving my house in Northwest Arkansas and traveling to Dallas, Texas. This is my first kind of longer EV road trip, so I wanted to document it to see kind of how range anxiety in the cold with 20-inch wheels actually is. So I just left my house at 89%. It's saying that we're going to arrive at the first supercharger in 103 miles. I have a Long Range rear-wheel drive Model 3 on 20-inch performance wheels, so I'm not too worried about the range for this first supercharger stop. I just pumped up all my tire pressures for better range. Cold pressure is about 42, and so I will check in the next time anything exciting happens. I've got all my cords. I've got an extension cord in the front, so I'm not foreseeing any issues happening, but like I said, if they do, we will check in a little bit. So here we go. Right up here at this exit is a Tesla Supercharger. I don't know why it's not pulling up. It's at this travel stop right here. I'm bypassing it because I've got 75%, only 81 miles to the next stop. But it is right in there. Don't know if you can see it, but it is right there. So we're just chugging along to the next stop, and I'll update you next time that something happens. So here's the first thing I'm seeing. So if you see right there, the speed limit is 75 on this part of the highway. So we've got autopilot set at 76. Normally I would be going about 10 over, but if we go here to our energy meter, we won't get to the supercharger. We'll zoom in on this. So we'll get to the supercharger with 32%, which isn't too big of a worry, except for the fact that when I left the house, it said I was going to get there with 41%. So we've already used 10% of buffer. It's really cold. It's 39 degrees. I have the climate set kind of temperate with two level heated seats on, but I still have 62 miles to go, and so until I can figure out in my mind if I'm going to be comfortable using up this buffer or not, I'm still going to keep the speeds kind of low, just because I don't want to get into a situation where the cold zaps too much of my battery. It's kind of a much bigger bummer than I originally thought. I wasn't expecting this much. I knew the cold was going to zap me pretty good, but I didn't think it was going to zap this much battery out. So I'll take a look and kind of see what's going on, if there's anything else I can do. Otherwise, I'll just be sitting in the slow lane. So catch you later. Yeah, so I was getting tailgated like crazy. So it's been about, I don't know, maybe a minute. I bumped it up to 80 just to see what would happen. I'm going to monitor this pretty good. We're halfway through, so even if I lose another 10%, we're going to get there with 22, which is more than fine, because this is going to be a version 3 supercharger. So yeah, it won't be a big deal at all. So we're going to go off at 80 miles an hour and see how much buffer this uses. It's still 39 degrees, and I'm going to keep these two climate settings the way they are just for now. So fingers crossed we don't lose too much more buffer, but I think we'll be good. We're at 26 miles. I went ahead and bumped it up to 84. Got a little cold, so I did 2 more degrees of temperature and then turned my heated seat back on. You can see that I just got this message for preconditioning battery for the fast charging. With only 25 miles to go, I didn't think that 46% was way out of the ordinary, especially because when you go to the energy meter right here, we're still at 31%. So I think my worries have kind of gone away, and I think that we are good to go. So it has warmed up a little bit. It got down to, I believe, 37 degrees. So we're going south, so hopefully we don't have any more issues with temp. I did notice that the wind was at like 8 or 10 miles an hour, so I don't think wind should be too big of an issue. So yeah, good on battery so far, and staying comfortable and staying quick. So we pulled in with 32%. It's looking like I need to charge here for 20 minutes to make it to my next stop, but I'll get to the Little Rock Supercharger. So all we have to do is get out and plug in. So this is a V3 charger right here. This has been a pretty new station. There we go. So we're plugged in. Normally there's like some trucks and all kinds of stuff that normally like to park their trailers up here. So it's nice to see that this is fully open. And so we probably won't see the full 250 kilowatts, but it's ramping up pretty quick. And so I'll probably charge, I don't know, maybe 60%, maybe 70, just to kind of give myself that buffer. Since it's pretty cold and windy outside, you can see by that Razorback flag that it's pretty windy, woo pig suey, but 150 kilowatts. So we'll sit here for a little bit, go inside. This is a really, really nice supercharger location as well. And it just opened up recently, so we love seeing it here, and I love using this stop. So going back to why we have to go this route is because my destination is somewhere, you know, right here, but the issue is I'm from up here. And normally when we go to Dallas, we come down, around, and over here. You can see this is just a giant, just abysmal place for Tesla chargers. So you can't go that way. So you've got to go over to Oklahoma City and down through Ardmore to get to Dallas. Or you can go through Rogers and go across Little Rock, Texarkana, and to Sulphur Springs. So what's interesting about this is that when you go around here, it makes it a lot easier to get to. Now, halfway through here, there's a CHAdeMO station, but I don't have a CHAdeMO adapter, and you can only rent one business hours usually. So that's why we're going around this way, and then go be in Dallas this weekend, and then head up back through this way, hopefully on Monday, when the adapter will be ready for use. But we'll see if that ends up actually happening. But yeah, it's a little difficult owning a Tesla in Arkansas. This has been the only trip that I've kind of had to go out of my way for convenience sake. But so far on the trip, everything's going well. So we've gone 107 miles, used 38 kilowatts with 355 watt hours per mile. It's low 40s, and like I said, I do have those 20-inch wheels from the performance. So we'll sit here for a little while longer and continue the trip. So I think 8 or 16% is enough buffer, 135 miles with 80%. I think that's totally fair. It'd be 30 more minutes to charge to 100, but I mean, we're going at 47 kilowatts. I don't think that's enough. So we've added 34 kilowatts to the battery, 107 miles so far with 38 kilowatts. So 355 watt hours per mile. So I'm gonna go ahead and get unplugged and get going. This really beautiful Model S just pulled up next to me with white seats. So yeah, gonna unplug and get going. So here's my first update. I've got to drive slowly to reach destination. You go here to charging, or no, whoops, energy. It shows that I guess we're gonna get there with less than what I'm supposed to. I don't know, that's very interesting. So I'm gonna keep going how we're going. It's very interesting to me that it just spreads the gap so much right here. So if it gets worse, I'll back down the speed. If not, I'm just gonna kind of keep it where it is. So now it's calculating 5%. So I don't know how that is. This is actually to the address that I'm going to as my destination, but there's a supercharger maybe 10 miles closer, so I'm probably going 10 miles closer than what this states. So I'll let it figure out what it's doing, and I don't know, but I just thought that drive slowly to reach. Okay, so now it's saying stay below 80 miles an hour. So I've got 106 miles left with 64%, so I'll probably slow down just a little bit and see where that leaves me. So I went ahead and actually changed it to the Little Rock Supercharger, and I'm gonna get there with 19%, which is definitely more than needed. So I'm just gonna stick here at that 85 mile an hour mark, which is 10 over, and it looks like I'll be good to go. So we'll just plan on getting to that supercharger with 19 or lower. So we'll see what happens. So we pulled in with 13%. I've got this battery low message, and then we've got a Model S, a Y. This is the Little Rock charger. I don't really love this one. I've had a few issues with that pull-in stall right here, and I believe it was 2A, which is this one. I've had some issues with it, so we'll see how this charge session goes. So we are starting to charge. I didn't get a preconditioning battery for the supercharger message, but I mean, it's ramping up. This will be a version 2, so 150 kilowatts, and it's getting pretty close up there. So it says 55 minutes to full. We're not going to completely go full, but yeah, so I'm pretty happy with this one. We're doing well so far here. This is one of the only ones I've been to that the stalls are placed in sideways instead of, you know, straight on, so that's pretty interesting. But yeah, so far we're charging well. So it looks like it wants me here for about 20 minutes. We're still pulling 126 kilowatts, which is pretty good. And one thing I'm really surprised about is this outlet mall location is completely packed. Like, there is no parking spots anywhere, but nobody's parked at the Tesla chargers, so that's pretty nice. Normally you see them iced up pretty bad in a situation like this, but I'm pleased to say that that's not the case here. I charged up to 90% so that I could get to the next stop with about 30% buffer. I wanted to be safe than sorry, so I'm gonna get out and unplug and keep going. So here we are the next morning. I left Central Arkansas with about 82%. I pulled in with like 85, 86, so a couple percent of phantom drain, but we're headed to Texarkana now. It's really cold today, like low 40s, high 30s, so cold for Arkansas. And it's supposed to rain, so that's going to hurt efficiency as well. So I've turned chill mode on, and then we have 70 degree temps for auto. I have 110 miles to go and 74% with a 19% arrival to the Texarkana Supercharger. So we've got 2 more Superchargers, and then we're going to kind of go off the path so to get to the destination. So I'll keep you updated, but so far so good. So far so good. Just plugged in at Texarkana with 15% left. These are all pull-in stalls, so it's pretty interesting to kind of see that. So I plugged into 1B, and it seems to be ramping up just fine. But it wants me to stay here for 30 minutes and then get to my destination. But there is a charger in Sulphur Springs, and it's right off the highway, I think. So yeah, it's right here. So I'm just going to charge enough to make it to Sulphur Springs, and then it should be, yeah, right here. So gonna just charge enough to get to here. It looks like it's 91 miles away, so it says I only need to charge for 20 minutes. So got a drink and some breakfast, and go ahead and make it there. This is at an Olive Garden, so I hope they let me go inside and use the bathroom. We'll see. I've literally only been here for a few minutes, and it's already telling me that I can get going. But because it's 43 degrees and it's raining, I don't think 16% is enough buffer, so I think I'm going to let it get up to about 30% buffer, so maybe 15% more here to see. But yeah, it started raining, and the very nice people at Olive Garden let me use their restroom, so this is a pretty good supercharger stop. One thing I am doing is it got really cold in here, so I have the heat set to 80 right now, so I can heat up the cabin, and it might charge a little bit slower, but I've got a little bit of time, and so we can get the cabin nice and hot, and then I'll just turn the air off once we get going, so I can pull some of the heat from the charger and not from the battery, since that pulls a lot of power out of it. So still getting decent speeds, not great but not bad. So I'm just going to sit here for maybe another 10 minutes, and then I'll be on my way to Sulphur Springs, Texas. All right, so I've got my 31% of buffer now. You can see the rain's picked up a little bit, but 79% on the battery. This is the first time I've ever had to supercharge in the rain, so thankfully we're all good. And then we got one more Tesla over here, so I'm gonna unplug and get to Sulphur Springs. This leg has been really sucky. It's rained the whole time, even harder rain than this actually. Autopilot has been doing pretty good, but it's been like when the trucks spray up the water, it'll slam on the brakes, so I kind of have to hover my foot over the accelerator. But pretty close to the Sulphur Springs supercharger, preconditioning, more than enough battery left, so we'll see what that supercharger is like when we get there. Plugged in Sulphur Springs, Texas. Interesting supercharger location here in downtown. There's a red Model 3 here, charging well, so I need to find some bathrooms. There's apparently a see-through bathroom down there, but it's raining and it's like a 4 or 5 minute walk, so we'll see what happens. But I'm gonna charge pretty close to 100%, one, because I have time, and two, I don't know what the plans are for the rest of the day in terms of charging. So yeah, we'll just hang out here for a little bit, and hopefully the rain will kind of slow down and stop pretty soon. I had to take a break from charging to visit these bathrooms. Apparently they're the only see-through bathrooms in the country or something like that, so I'm going to take a little restroom break and see what's going on in here. They were not kidding. Check this out. You can literally see through everything, but I'm in the bathroom. How cool is that? Oh my goodness, this is wild. Just unplugged at Sulphur Springs, 94%. That should be more than enough. I was running a little early, so we should be go. I'm not gonna go the way of Tesla Nav because there's a route that's like 2 miles shorter and it's like 1 minute slower. So I'm gonna go on that route with my Apple Maps and hope for the best. And here you join me this morning at the Spring Hill Marriott Suites in McKinney, Texas. They had a Tesla wall connector, which I charged fully, and I used out-of-spec motoring's tip to where I limited my PlugShare app to just give me lodging, and it worked great. $17 a night with rewards, so you can't beat that, and especially with the chargers that they've got. So we're gonna run around Dallas and head home afterwards. So I just plugged in at a urban charger in Dallas, and there's a lot of people here. I think this is a 12 stall. It wraps all the way around back there and around here. I don't need much battery at all. This was kind of just a touch and go stop to just see what an urban charger was like. There's a lot, 4 pull-in stalls and a couple more back there. So you can see it's like a 72 kilowatt max, and we're only getting 20 kilowatts. So I'm not really gonna stay here at all. I just wanted to come see it and plug in. It's right next to the highway too, so that's kind of nice. But yeah, there's a charger right there, and not getting great speeds, but again, we're at 83%, so it's not really that necessary. I just wanted to see what it was like. So here's the conundrum, I guess you could say, I'm currently in. So I need to get back up here, and as you can see, there's no chargers anywhere around here. So right here, this little pin I dropped is called Rover Taxi, and they have a CHAdeMO adapter and CHAdeMO for a Model 3. But here's the issue, is I'm gonna get there with 11%. It's 49 degrees. And so 49% is not that much of a, buffer. But the issue is when I get there, CHAdeMO only charges at 50 kilowatts max. And I don't think we're gonna get max speeds there. So I'd have to sit there for an hour at least to then go from McAllister to home. Which I could stop in Tulsa, but then I'm basically backtracking and going across. And if I'm gonna go to Tulsa anyway, I think I'm gonna do what the car said. And the car wants me to go around through Oklahoma, which I think I'm gonna do because it's only 45 more minutes of drive time. So, you know, it says right here, it's going to take 7 hours and 28 minutes, but it wants me to do a 50-minute stop in Ardmore. We're not going to do that because there is a supercharger here in Denton that we're going to stop at. And then if I need to, we can just go right up here and let's see. And there's one, it's kind of off the highway a little bit, but there's a charger, supercharger in Oklahoma City that we can hit and then go over to Tulsa. With it being cold and everything, I think what we're gonna do is just follow the in-car nav with this one and just stop more, because it says 397 miles, and I think it was like 330 going the other way, and I don't want to mess with a CHAdeMO adapter and all that stuff, especially when I'm by myself and need to get home. So what we're gonna do is just follow the supercharger network a little bit out of the way and hope for the best. So let's begin our trip and unplug here at the Dallas urban charger. More people are pulling in and out like crazy, and so it's kind of cool to see, you know, all these Teslas around here. So super cool. Let's get on the way. Just a touch and go in Denton, Texas. It's at a decent location. One is out of order and they're pull-through stalls. So we're gonna keep going to Ardmore. Plugging in at Ardmore with 28%. It is in a kind of not big area. There's not really much here. Looks like there are 6 stalls, and they're kind of all sideways too. So there's a flooring outlet, but let's go ahead and plug in here and hopefully see some good speeds here. So far the trip is going well. We'll let it start to charge and see how quick it is. Just heard it click and it's about to start ramping up. These look like a version 2, so it's gonna be 150 kilowatt. It's nice to see a trash can right there to throw away cups and stuff. Yeah, it's ramping up really fast, so this looks like it's going to be a pretty strong session. So check in a little bit. So if I continue the trip, it wants me to go to Catoosa, which is actually in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with a 25 minute remaining charge, but it doesn't even give me a % yet. So I'm gonna stick around here, but around here the speed limit's pretty high, 75, 80 miles an hour with some stops for tolls. So I think what I'm gonna do is actually go through, let's see, where's Oklahoma City? So let's turn this off. So the car has me going this way right here, but if you look, there's one just right off the path right here in Oklahoma City. So I'd be going up through here. This is maybe 5-10 miles max. So what I'm gonna do is route here for a little break to break it up, and then I'm only gonna have to charge for 10 minutes or so. So I'm probably gonna do that and then get around to Tulsa, especially with low temps and my 20-inch wheels, because it says I don't see how it would only want me to stay here for 25 minutes to make this trek. I wonder how many miles this is. Let's take a look while it routes. Okay, well, that didn't work. Let's go here. Routing. It's 160 miles. Let this calculate. So at it's 211 miles. No, we're not doing that. So yeah, we're gonna be stopping halfway in Oklahoma City. So I'll stay here for a few minutes and then I'll get going. All right, so my buffer just jumped up to 22%. I was watching it and it was 18, 19, and then all of a sudden it just jumped up. So I'm good with 20%, especially with 100 miles. So let's unplug and get going here. I pretty much, this was a really good supercharging session. I'm pretty happy with the speeds. I was kind of worried with how faded some of these were, but nope. We're all good to go. Pulled in with 17% to the Oklahoma City outlet supercharger, one Model X charging, and so I'm gonna run in and use the bathroom and maybe run in somewhere, but yeah, it says 25 minutes. I don't know if I'll be here quite that long, but enough. I'll probably get to 60% so I can have a 20% buffer for Tulsa. Well, here's an update. So it dropped 15 degrees in about 20 minutes, and I'd had a 22% buffer or something like that, and it dropped to 11%. So I turned everything off. I just turned my heated seat back on because it got really cold in here, but no climate, turned climate off, put it in chill mode, and I put it in, I'm doing 76 miles an hour because it's 75 is the speed limit. And there's so many trucks, and if you go any slower than this, these trucks start to fly by you, and that just didn't feel very safe to me. So for now, I'm going to keep it at 76 miles an hour, and I think that'd be okay. But yeah, the cold really zaps the battery. I know I've said it several times before in this video, but I thought I'd be good with the 20% buffer, and you know, in a matter of like 30 seconds it adjusted to 11%, and I got kind of nervous. So once I at least make it halfway on the journey, I'm almost halfway. As long as it doesn't adjust too much after that, I'm going to turn the heat back on and just make sure it doesn't drop below a 10% buffer, because I'm always worried about if a road is closed and I have to go around, or for some reason the charger or the supercharger is out of order or something like that. But one other thing too is this area just got snow. So one thing I was worried about too was, you know, just if the roads would get icy after it melted today and refroze, because it's at 32 degrees. So that was one thing I needed to be careful for. And the last thing too is I'm gonna have to pull off the road to pay a toll. You'll be able to see this yellow sign right here. Yeah, right there, barely. I have to pull off the road, get to zero, stop, pull out some cash to pay the toll, and then I'm going to have to speed back up to 76 miles an hour. So I will be using a very light touch to do that. But all in all, I should be fine. It just, when it took like 10% of my buffer out, I just got kind of nervous. So, yeah, pretty cold in here. We're at 51% right now, which is fine, but like I said, I just don't want anything else to happen. So there's the route, so we should be getting there pretty soon. The roads are looking a little bit more clear, which is good. I bumped it up to 82 because the speed limit actually changed to 80 and I was getting passed pretty bad. But I turned on my heated seat and I turned on the heater, but it should be fine because we bumped up to 15% buffer. Even after stopping for tolls and everything, and then even still with going 82 and turning climate on, I've got a 14% arrival state of charge. And when you look at the energy graph, it looks like we're doing pretty okay. We're at 89 miles out of 125, so pretty close, not too worried. So definitely not nearly as worried as I was. So now we just need to watch the roads and get to the supercharger. I'm very impressed with the trip planner. It was pretty accurate. We're all good. We've got the charger right here, so I'm gonna plug in and go inside and use the restroom from these 2 Starbucks drinks. But yeah, it says 20 minutes to get home. I definitely am going to let that go a little bit more because of that buffer. So I'm gonna go in and use the facilities here at this Tulsa Supercharger. But yeah, so far so good. Made it, no issues, and this will be the last Supercharger stop of the trip. Well, I won a little bit of money inside of the Hard Rock, so the car is charged up to 99%. This is where we'll end the video as long as there's nothing else interesting that happens. If this is not the end of the video, then you'll see something else that's interesting. Otherwise, this was the last supercharging stop, and I'll be home in an hour and a half, 2 hours. So like I said, thanks for watching, and if this is not the end, then well, good luck to me.